Right. Let's unpack this. Just recently, Midtown Manhattan was rocked by a truly tragic event. It captured headlines and definitely left a lot of questions.
Hmm. A lot of questions, yeah.
So today, we're taking a deep dive into the events of that Midtown office shooting spree, the one on July 29th, 2025. We've pulled together quite a few sources for you, looking at reports from places like the New York Post and ABC News.
Right. And our mission for you in this deep dive really is to get past those initial, shocking headlines. We want to meticulously examine the documented facts, what happened, who was involved,
Yeah.
and crucially, the really intriguing but incredibly complex details that started emerging pretty quickly about the perpetrator's background.
Mm.
We're aiming to help you kind of distill the key information that contextualizes this very difficult story.
Okay. So let's set the scene for you. It was Monday, July 29th, 2025. Seems like a normal evening in Midtown, right around 6:30 p.m. But then things took a horrifying turn at 345 Park Avenue. That's a pretty ritzy office tower.
It is. And significant, too. It houses both Blackstone's headquarters and, importantly, the NFL's headquarters as well. That becomes relevant later.
Right. So this individual, identified as the suspected shooter, Shane Tamura, he starts this whole tragic sequence. How did it begin, according to the sources?
Well, the descriptions are chillingly precise. He apparently double-parked his car right outside the building, just walked inside, and almost immediately opened fire with a high-powered rifle.
Immediately. Wow.
Yes. Specifically identified actually as a Palmetto State Armory AR-15. So this wasn't hesitant. It was a very rapid, brutal assault from the get-go.
And the first victim, NYPD officer Didarul Islam, just awful. A father of two, his wife pregnant with their third child. He was killed right there in the lobby.
A terrible loss, yes. And the sources say the chaos just exploded after that in the lobby. Timur kept firing, spraying gunfire.
Indiscriminately.
It seems so. He fatally shot a woman who was trying to hide behind a pillar, and then a security guard who was desperately crouching behind his desk. The speed of it, the brutality in just those first moments, it really paints a picture of immediate terror.
What's striking, too, and you see this in the reporting, is how quickly people inside the building realized the danger. They were still working, right?
Many were, yes.
Mm.
And the sources detail this frantic communication, Blackstone employees sending urgent messages over email, Microsoft Teams, warning colleagues, there's a gunman downstairs.
Trying to get the word out. How did people react to those warnings inside?
It's pure survival instincts, isn't it? People reacted fast. Many barricaded themselves in offices using desks, whatever they could find. Some locked themselves in bathrooms.
Just trying to hide.
Exactly. The reports describe this building suddenly filled with people trying to be invisible, just listening, terrified, unsure where the shots were coming from or if they were next. That quick communication, though, it probably saved lives.
There's a really strange detail, though, after that initial horror in the lobby. The sources mention a moment of composure.
Yes, it's unsettling. He apparently allowed a woman to just walk out of an elevator. Didn't harm her, let her leave.
Bizarre. And then what?
After that strange pause, he went upstairs, specifically to the 33rd floor.
Okay.
That floor houses Rudin Properties offices. And there, on the 33rd floor, he continued the rampage. Killed one more man.
Oh, no.
Then walked down a hallway. And that's where he ultimately shot himself in the chest. Ended the violence himself.
So let's tally that. How many victims in total directly from his actions?
The count is 5 lives lost directly. There is Officer Islam, the unidentified Blackstone executive, the woman in the lobby, the security guard,
Right?
and then the man killed up on the 33rd floor, plus the shooter himself, of course.
And were there others injured?
Yes. The sources reported other Blackstone employees were being treated at the hospital for injuries. The exact extent wasn't immediately clear in those early reports. And we also know NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell confirmed one league employee was injured too, so the impact was felt across the building's tenants.
Okay, here's where the story gets, well, even more complex. We start looking at potential motivations, though nothing's confirmed. Police found a note in Shane Tamura's pocket. That seems pretty significant.
Absolutely critical discovery. It's a 3-page note. Sources described it as rambling, maybe a bit disjointed.
What specific claims were made?
Very specific. 2 key claims stood out. First, Tamura claimed he suffered from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And he specifically asked for his brain to be studied after his death.
CTE, that's the brain disease linked to repeated head trauma, right? We hear about it a lot with athletes, veterans.
Exactly. Football players, boxers, hockey players. It's become a major point of discussion, especially around contact sports. The note also made some vague references to the National Football League.
Which is headquartered in that building.
Precisely.
But his claim, I mean, can you just say of CTE, how is it actually diagnosed?
And that is the absolutely crucial point here. You really need to understand this. According to all the medical experts cited in our sources, CTE cannot be diagnosed with certainty while someone is alive.
Cannot. Okay.
No. It can only be confirmed through a very specialized autopsy. Pathologists have to look for specific patterns of tau protein buildup in the brain tissue. The symptoms people associate with it, memory loss, mood swings, confusion, trouble thinking, those usually show up years, sometimes decades, after the head impacts.
So him saying he had it, that was just his belief, not a medical fact at that point.
Correct. It couldn't have been medically confirmed while he was living. It was a self-diagnosis mentioned in the note.
And connecting that to his background. The sources did mention he played high school football, right? So maybe that's where the idea came from in his mind.
It's certainly a relevant piece of his history, given the CTE claim and the mention of the NFL. But there's more to his documented history than just football.
What else did the sources uncover?
Law enforcement sources pointed to 2 mental health crisis holds in Nevada on his record. One in 2022, another just in 2024.
Crisis holds? What does that typically mean?
Well, in Nevada, it generally means law enforcement or medical professionals believe he might be a danger to himself or others. It allows them to detain someone, usually for up to 72 hours. They transport the person to a hospital, and then medical staff evaluate how long to keep them.
So, documented instances of concern about his mental state.
Yes. 2 specific instances noted by law enforcement sources.
And there were other things, too, weren't there? Something about firearms.
That's right. Another significant detail, Tamura got a concealed carry weapon permit, a CCW permit, in Las Vegas back in 2022.
So he was legally allowed to carry a hidden gun?
Correct. And he also had a prior arrest for trespassing in Nevada. The sources don't give much detail on that, but it's part of his record.
It's just so much background information. But it's really important, like you said, to remember police haven't officially stated a motive yet.
Exactly. We have these documented facts, we have the claims in his note, but the official why from the investigation is still pending. We're piecing together what's been reported.
So when we try to, well, connect these dots, what does it all suggest? You have the horrific shooting, the step-by-step horror of it, and then this really complex background, the self-diagnosed CTE, the mental health holds. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. And if you try to look at the bigger picture, it's a challenging narrative. You have the CTE claim, which, again, can only be proven after death, but it seems directly linked to his actions, right?
So.
Well, the fact that he targeted a building housing the NFL headquarters, coupled with the note specifically mentioning CTE in the NFL, it strongly suggests his actions weren't random. It points towards, perhaps, a perceived grievance, maybe a deeply personal one, possibly seeing the NFL as responsible for this condition he believed he had. Whether it's medically true or not is almost secondary to the fact that it might have fueled his perceived justification.
So it gives a potential why, even if it's based on an unconfirmed medical claim in his own mind. It makes the targeting seem symbolic.
Potentially, yes. It shifts it from just generalized violence to something possibly more targeted, fueled by this specific, albeit self-diagnosed, issue.
And then you layer on the mental health history, those 2 crisis holds, but he still legally got a concealed carry permit in 2022. That intersection seems significant.
Extremely significant. And that's where it really brings up broader societal questions, doesn't it? You have systems in place for mental health intervention when someone's deemed a danger.
Right. Yeah.
And you have systems for legally obtaining firearms, including concealed carry permits. This case highlights the potential gaps or conflicts between those systems.
How can someone have that history but still get the permit?
That's the core question it raises. It forces us to look at the effectiveness of background checks, what information is shared or considered, and that ongoing tension between individual rights, like the right to bear arms, and public safety concerns. It suggests the current mechanisms might not always catch these intersections effectively.
So the facts presented in the sources don't give us easy answers. Instead, they paint this really unsettling picture of how maybe personal grievances, mental health struggles, and the legal access to weapons can converge in just the most catastrophic way.
Precisely. It highlights the immense challenge for law enforcement, for society, in trying to understand and prevent these tragedies. We're just laying out the facts as reported, aiming to give you, the listener, the clearest picture based on the available information, rather than speculating beyond what the sources say.
Right. So this deep dive, it's covered the horror of the event itself, the bravery we saw, but also these intricate, disturbing details about the shooter. The CTE claim, its possible symbolism, the documented mental health issues, the legal gun permit. It's a heavy story.
It is. The sources give us that factual account, the timeline, the background details that emerged. But they absolutely leave us with these big open questions about the ultimate motive, and frankly, about the wider implications for society, especially around mental health, these specific diagnoses like CTE and access to firearms.
And as you listening reflect on all this information, maybe consider this. Given that Shane Tamura had those documented mental health crisis holds in his past, yet also legally obtained a concealed carry permit, what does that specific intersection of facts suggest to you about the sheer complexity of trying to prevent future tragedies like this one? What does it tell us about the challenge of balancing individual rights and collective safety?